What are the major components of an open-loop control system? How does this type of control system differ from the closed-loop system? Describe how each of the components of the open-loop system might function for a person who is tossing an empty soft drink can into a recycling bin. The two essential parts of an open-loop control systems are executive and effector. These two components are also contained in a closed-loop control system. The difference is that between these two, missing from the open-loop control system, a closed-loop control system has a feedback and comparator that determines error. An example of an open-loop control system is in a person tossing a soft drink can, an empty soft drink can, into the recycling bin. So, meron na tayong input. Ayun na nga yung an individual at tossing an empty soft drink can into a recycling bin. Now that we already had input, proceed na tayo kay executive, which is, ito yung magde-decide, ito yung mag-organize ng ideas para ma-carried out ni effector. Sabihin na natin na ganito yung dapat niyang gawin. Kailangan niyang itaas yung kamay niya, kailangan niyang bumuelo para ma-shoot niya yung empty soft drink can sa recycling bin. Now, pag na-organize na yung ideas and nagkaroon na ng final decision, si executive yung magko-command kay effector, which is si effector yung magke-carried out ng action galing kay executive. Once na na-carried out na yung action kay effector, eto na yung magiging output. It's either ma-shoot or hindi yung empty soft drink can. Dahil nga open loop control system, walang feedback. Kaya if ever na ma-shoot or hindi, yun na yung magiging output. How do we know that motor program exists? Discuss two of the three types of research evidence that suggests support for the motor program notion. How does each illustrate that individuals plan their movements in advance? Motor program exists in every action we do. Two of the three lines of evidences that I will be discussing are the reaction time and movement complexity and differentiation experiments. In reaction time and movement complexity, the reaction time increase as the complexity of the movement produced also increase. Halimbawa na lang nito is yung tumatakbo tayo tapos merong lubak. Syempre, ang una nating gagawin, ang response to stimulus agad natin is kailangan nating tumalon dun sa merong lubak. Pero kapag yung movement kasi or yung nadadagdagan kasi yung ginagawa natin, halimbawa na lang yung lubak, nagkaroon ng mas lumawak. Syempre, ang una nating may isip is dadagdagan natin yung movement. Kaya yung reaction time natin is nag-i-increase as the complexity of movement produce also increase. And in differentiation experiments, studies of these kinds clearly illustrate that sensory information from the moving limb is not critical for movement production. In fact, many movements can easily occur without it. Halimbawa na lang nito is yung kapag nadampi natin yung parte ng katawan natin sa mainit na bagay, ang response to stimulus agad natin is tatanggalin natin yung nadikit na parte ng katawan natin dun sa mainit na bagay. How do humans produce novel movements? Are such movements really new? Provide an example of a novel movements that might be produced by a shuffleboard player, a professional golfer, an airplane pilot, or a wheelchair basketball player. Human produce a novel movements every time we're doing something. According to Sir Frederick Bartlett, that every time we do things, we did not produce something new, nor repeated something old, but rather every movement is novel, because it has never performed exactly the same at any other time. Like for example, a professional golfer, meron siyang sariling style, unique style kung paano niya sinuswing yung golf stick. Pero sa every movement niya, hindi laging nauulit. Kung titignan natin mabuti, merong hindi rin nakakagawa ng bago, pero merong nadadagdag na bagong movement. What is the generalized motor program? Indicate how this concept allows us to explain the way the performers adjust their movements to meet the different sets of environmental demands. Using the example you selected in the previous question, explain how the generalized motor program might function to produce the performer's novel movements. Generalized motor program is one that can be modified slightly when the program is executed, allowing performers to adjust the movement in order to meet altered environmental demands. Performers are able to modify already learned movement patterns in order to meet changing environmental demands. The more individual practice the process of parameterization. As for the professional golfer, for example, if the goal is near, he will only swing the golf stick in a slower and more controlled movement. And let's say that he is a right-handed, obviously, he'll use his right hand because it's presumably has more control.